Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Monday, September 30th, 2024. The purpose of this video will be to look at a situation that's occurring within the borders of the United States of America. So if you're an international viewer, I thank you very much for viewing. And I guess since the topic is about some devastation and destruction, I'm kind of glad that this may not apply to you. But again, you're welcome to hang in there with us. Now, there is a hurricane that struck the Great Bend area of the United States the last few days, and the devastation has been horrible, especially in North Carolina and Tennessee, to my understanding. I have a short compilation that I've prepared that I'll have a link to in the video description box, but just let me cover that quickly with you verbally, and then we'll get into the tarot question. Because one of the things that happens when there's a disaster that can have a human manipulation element, and we've been manipulating weather now for almost 100 years, guys, so don't think that that's not a possibility. We have to ask ourselves who benefits or who was targeted. Let's take a look at that first, okay? First of all, you're going to find in my compilation a link to a Wayne Tech SPFX. He has a tweet that talks about how FEMA had an expiration of their flood insurance program, and that was set to take effect the end of September, the 26th of September, I think. And so the timing of this hurricane with so much flooding really bolstered their desire to have continued flood program funds coming into that agency. Now, just so you know, right now, the president signed, well, the resident signed legislation that's been passed by Congress that extends that flood insurance through December 20th of this year. However, it has to be passed, reauthorized by Congress. So, and that has to be done by the end of today because Congress will be out of session for the entire month of October. So by 11:59 p.m. tonight, they need to get their act in gear and reauthorize that if there's going to be flood insurance funds available to people devastated by that hurricane. Hurricane Helene has been listed as a Category 4. So it was very devastating. However, there is a possibility of a hurricane level 5, just like with tornadoes. They can go to a Category 5. The categories are always determined by the amount of devastation that occurs after. There's no way as one is coming, they can say it's a potential to be a Category 4, 3, 5, whatever it might be, but they can't determine that till they look at the devastation. Even now, based on the devastation, which is horrible, if you've watched any footage of it, it's still listed as Category 4. Now, I have no doubt, because of who would benefit, and I said let's also look at who's targeted. There is a link to in my compilation that will take you to an article that's on the Gazetteer site, and they have a compelling claim that the Helene was engineered and designed to target pro-Trump counties. So they did a correlation of the hurricane's path, the most devastating swath of it, and the most pro-Trump counties, and said that there was targeting involved. There's something to be said about that. However, you target pro-Trump counties, you got good old boys that are going to help their neighbors and help one another. They're not going to wait for FEMA to come in and tell them they can do this, do that. They're going to be out there helping. They're going to have their boats out, their trucks out, their Jeeps out. They're going to be doing what they can to help their neighbors and their communities. So you underestimate the blue collar or redneck type of Trump supporter at your peril. And I'm not saying that that's what the majority are, because the support for our 45th president crosses all socioeconomic and cultural boundaries. But you target a heavily, heavily red segment, they're going to come out kicking butt and fighting and make sure they take care of one another. So if that was their case, it may backfire on them to some extent. Now, I've also included in my compilation a tweet that comes from Santa Surfing, who she's got some good intel, but often there's a lot of commercialization, so I don't usually, go there. But she had a really good tweet about how there were two very big things happening in Tennessee and Georgia, the distraction element of these disasters. First of all, in Tennessee, there's a mortgage fraud investigation that's going on, and that actually impacts mortgages nationwide. So of course they would love to have eyes taken off that situation. Then there's a hearing on Dominion voting machines going on in Georgia. So they would love to have eyes taken off that situation. Okay. So with HARP and directed energy weapons, we can't say that events like this are natural, period. That's just the way it is. Now, what I would like to do, though, is address some concerns people have. I think it would be absolutely redundant to ask if this was a manipulated weather incident. It was. End of story. And we know that the deep state, the cabal, has access and uses weaponization of weather to further their claims that there's issues with the climate that are man-made. Well, yeah, they are from your darn machines. Or to distract or just cause harm. We've talked about how evil is less and less welcome and finding a welcome home on our plane of existence. And they're kicking tantrums as they go out the door. We know that. So there's an element of that going on too in the Laura's view part of this. But what I want to ask, because I know that they have in the past and will again in the future, if the White Hats made some, the yes or no element to my question is, did the White Hats mitigate this manipulated weather system to some degree, plus additional insights and information the universe wants us to know? We have said, we have had alt media chatter that this is actually included some military strategies and activities that were going on, that they may have been able to use some of this devastation, even if they didn't cause it, to clean up some tunnels. But by the same token, if the noose is closing on the deep state, they may have wanted some tunnels to be closed. So let's see what the universe wants us to know. Like I said, I don't see any reason to even ask if this was a manipulated, even to just augmentation weather pattern. But let's see, did the White Hats mitigate it, take steps to mitigate the devastation of Hurricane Helene, plus additional insights and information the universe wants us to know? I'm going to switch camera. You can watch me work with the cards and we will find out the answer together. Okay, one more time, yes, deliberately, because there is power in the number 3. Nikola Tesla was wise and wonderful when he said if we understood 369, we'd understand the universe. I'm not claiming I understand the universe. I'm just saying, let's go with restating this a third time for clarity and for any additional answers that might be had as a result of that. So, did the White Hats take steps to mitigate some of the devastation that has happened from Hurricane Helene, plus additional insights and information about this devastating hurricane system that has displaced so many thousands and done hundreds of billions of dollars worth of damage? Not only displaced, but there have been many, many that are missing, many, many that died in the storm of all ages. So we'd like insights and information. The yes or no element added. Okay, our first card is the Fool. Wheel of Fortune, we've got 2 major arcanas already, a very important question. Okay, we have the 10 of Wands for the recent past card. Another major arcana in the current with the World showing up. With that one, I think we have kind of our nod to the yes. We don't even need to look for an ace, but we may still get one. Another major arcana with the Lover showing up in the near future. Our strongest advice card is the Hierophant, another major arcana. And then clarifying that and additional insights are coming once again from 2 and 3 of Wands, keep showing up in the near future about how we're going someplace new. So let's take a look at this in light of the way that the question was phrased. We asked, was there, did the White Hats take steps to try to mitigate the damage that was shenanigan and happening as a result of Hurricane Helene? And because the Fool showed up here, which is a very innocent and trusting energy, very positive, and it's aspected or right next to the World and Wheel of Fortune. We got our yes right there. Okay, guys, because the Wheel of Fortune in questions about the world, either political or our plane of existence, is moving from dark to light. So yeah, they tried to mitigate it. There was plans to have it be either off the charts or a category 5. So they were able to mitigate it to some extent. Now, the recent past card, the 10, I am getting, this is, and it may just be my hopeful nature, but that not only did this end a lot of people's homes and lives and livelihoods are affected, but I think the White Hats are taking steps to make sure that this is the last time they are able to manipulate weather to this degree. So it's a one and done type of thing. Not saying that they're not still going to use any manipulation mechanisms that they have to whatever effect that they're able to, but I'm getting that we're not going to see the likes of this again. Now, I say that because in the present we have the World card again saying, you know, we're going somewhere new with all this, with our plane of existence. We are going somewhere new. And the victory indicated by the World card is just beautiful. The wreaths in tarot cards are a victory sign. That's what their symbolism is. And yeah, so the world is going somewhere new. We're moving from dark to light. That was the end of it as far as having that capability to that extent for the near future and beyond. Now let's look forward and see what we have. First of all, we have the Lovers showing up. And I think this is an indication, again, we have to understand it's very easy to be resentful that something has been allowed to happen. But we're in a war. There are resources that have to be allocated. And sometimes those allocation choices are really hard. We see that on a microcosm scale sometimes with ourselves, where we have to choose to do something for a child that we can't afford to do or tell them no, or that we can only do it to this extent. We could match maybe money that they earn to get something, but we couldn't do it for them all ourselves. So we have to understand that they are doing their best they can. And I'm saying the White Hats with this, anybody who is in the light, White Hats Alliance, and those of us light workers who are trying to provide some energy that is light filled too. That balancing of needs and wants has to happen. So it's a heartbreaking that they can't save everyone, that wasn't able to, they weren't able to bring forward the changes they want to change to the extent that this could have been kept from happening at all. But I'm telling you guys, the plan was for it to be much, much worse. Okay, now the Hierophant is our strongest advice card or insight card in this case. I'm not thinking he gives advice here, but I'm seeing it as insights. And that is that the powers that used to be are going to continue to try to sell false narratives and get us not to dig and not to think logically and independently and be neurodivergent. That's not what they want, but it's just not going to work out because we are loved. We're too wide awake to go back to sleep. And we can relate to the heartache of seeing something happen and understanding that it couldn't be completely stopped. And we're mature enough not to blame just because of that. So again, guys, the White Hats did step in and do what they could to keep this from being worse, the devastation being worse, the path of destruction from being worse than it was. Okay, they did. And again, Loving these cards, the 2 and 3 of Wands always have the world showing and a path ahead, and just saying, guys, we are starting a new age, a new era, we are setting out anew, and we're ready to get going on it. You notice in each of these cards too, while I love them, they haven't started the journey yet. They're ready. They can see the path. They know where they're going, just like we know. We know we want a plane of existence where evil doesn't shackle us and our health systems, our DNA is restored, and we have actual healing capabilities at our fingertips and technologies that have been hidden that are revealed and used for the good of all, not the profit of a few. And we know what we want. We can see it. We're willing to do what we can to make it happen. But some things are out of our hands. And so we do what we can. Just because we can't do it all doesn't mean we don't do it. It's like that little girl on the beach that was throwing starfish back in. She couldn't throw them all in, but she did what she could and saved a few. Okay, let's get a few more cards because, again, this was a devastating event, and the cleanup is going to continue for years. And let's pray for protection for those people in those areas, because there's going to be foreign capital that comes in and tries to buy up land and make sure that that area of the country never has the same composition or dynamic again. So we want people to be able to have options and stand firm. Okay, another victory card showing up with the 6 of Wands. Wands are fast moving energy. They're boom, boom, boom. So we've got a lot of wands here because of the events. So this is kind of interesting. So many wands in the tree. Let's get 2 more. If I didn't mention it, with the 6 of Wands was the King of Wands. Ace of Wands, we got the hard yes, even though we didn't really need it. The white hats did mitigate that destruction, kept it from being category 5 or even higher. And again, just a nod to the fact that was our white hats that did it, because the Knight of Pentacles is showing up. White of Pentacles is very steadfast, well thought out, usually military mindset type of action. So we've got that here. The vision and leadership showing up with the King of Wands. If we get a sudden change to the political landscape in the United States, there is leadership that is ready to take action that has not yet been seen in this situation. Up to now, we've had President Biden in response to the devastation just saying everybody should get their jabs, make sure they're updated on their jabs, and affirming that there'd be no additional resources allocated for the recovery of that region. So talk about compassionate supposed leadership, huh? Wow. Now to recap. I thought it was interesting to note that out of the 11 cards that I pulled for this read, we had 5 of them that were major arcanas and 1 ace. So it was a very important question. The question as framed was asking, did the white hats do what they could to mitigate or lessen the intended path of destruction and devastation by Hurricane Helene? We definitely got a hard yes with the Ace of Wands. Lots of wands showing up, so there's lots of events in play and in motion now. Okay, the situation was indicated by the Fool, which told me right away we were on the right track, thinking this way, and again, not playing the blame game. Okay, unless we lay it where it needs to be, and that is with those who misuse technology and discoveries for nefarious purposes. The again, another thing that said, yes, you're on the right track, the Wheel of Fortune showed up. So again, it was much worse than the plan was, to have a lot more devastation than happened. The World card showed up, and just kind of the nudge I got was, well, they did it this time, they'll never have the capability to do it to that extent again. So something in the background seems to have occurred, because we had victory cards showing up in relation to military actions. So something happened. That's it. Yeah, the devastation is horrible. My heart breaks for those who've lost loved ones or don't know what has happened to loved ones. To a lesser extent for those that have lost homes and property, because if you're alive, you can rebuild, you can regroup, you can gather your tribe, and you know, you're born with nothing and you can make it, and you made stuff, you can make it happen again. So to those that suffered in this devastating event, you know, my heart goes out to you, absolutely. And to those members of the White Hats or Alliance who did what they could to mitigate this damage and are doing what they can to make sure it never happens to that extent again. I wish you all the best, success beyond your wildest dreams and hopes, and may the plans of evil, as always, fail and falter, and just be a huge disappointment to those that lay them and play them. That's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time, attention, and viewership. If you'd like to subscribe, please do. If you did, make sure you still are, because YouTube will is trying to keep my numbers down and they will unsubscribe you. And until next time, if you'd like to receive it, I have unlimited supply of it, so you are welcome to it. I send you love and light and wish you everything bright. Bye.